There's a lot of things that are coming as well that I'm ready for. I want to see the Deadpool series. Not Deadpool series. Sorry, my bad. I want to see the Daredevil
Daredevil.
series. Yeah, my
Mhm.
bad.
And I'm hoping it's as brutal as it was when Netflix made it.
Yeah, they better not Disney it up.
Which the last episode or, like, the last 10 minutes of Secret Invasion, you saw kinda the Skrull Council killing a bunch of people or getting killed,
Yeah.
and that was the most brutal part of the show, I think, is, like,
Hmm.
those final 10 minutes, and, if that's how Daredevil's gonna be, I'll be happy.
Yeah, exactly. I think we need some of those like crazy over the top fighting and a lot of like, things you're just like, what the heck? This is insane. And it just brings back the feels that like when you watch the fighting sequences like between Captain America and the Winter Soldier, that was the coolest street fight I have ever seen in my entire life. Like that was so well choreographed. It was amazing.
Mhm.
What's the other
I
fight
thought
you talk about all the time? The one you like?
the one in Civil War
Yeah, that one.
between Cap, Iron Man, and Bucky.
Yeah, yeah. All three of them just fighting each other.
I mean, Civil War is still probably one of my favorite MCU movies, along with now Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and, I mean, I have to say Endgame, Endgame is up there, there's no denying that.
Mhm. And then there's oh man, there were some really good fighting sequences in Spider-Man: No Way Home, and I don't think people really thought about it, but, like, when he fought Green Goblin, like, when Green Goblin first arrived, you chill. I've had chills of all, like, chills coming up my spine. Like, I was like, "This is about to go down." So when he was, like,
Mhm.
talking about how they're not curses, they're gifts.
We don't need you to save us. We don't need to be fixed. These are not curses. They're gifts.
I'm just like, "Oh, man, we're about to see something crazy." And him actually, like, laughing, getting punched in the face, I'm like, "This is Joker vibes, but I'm still down, this is amazing." Um, it's just like, that stuff I wanna see. I wanna see the fist fighting, I wanna see, it make contact, I wanna see all of that.
And that's why I like the directing style of the Russo brothers, because every movie they made, had heavy hitting, had, really good action scenes, you know?
Right. Exactly. So, like, specifically, like, certain things just have not been, how they should be when you wanna see a fight, but instead we see, like, super powered fights where they're just, like, not touching each other at all. But I feel
Mhm.
like I need that gravity. I need that hitting part. Like if you watch like I'm not gonna
Uh-oh.
talk super bad about that movie because I still kind of like
Uh-oh.
that movie. Is Black Panther like the end fighting sequence, like when they have their suits on, like
Kinda wonky
yeah,
looking.
it was kind of wonky. But the only thing is like I still kind of liked it because you saw them fighting each other like back and forth, fist fighting each other. But it was still
Mhm.
like those two were just CGI characters. They didn't look as real as I wanted it to be.
Right.
Specifically there's scenes in Infinity War that I'm like again like have that gravity. Like there's some of the CGI is so good that watching Hulk and Thanos duke it out and if Hulk losing had me. Like the first time I ever saw it, he just gets beat, like hammered into the ground.
Mhm.
And that I was not prepared for at all.
Right. I don't wanna say it made me dislike the Hulk, but
It made him look like a little sissy, not gonna
I
lie.
I know Thanos was super powerful, right? Super
Yeah,
strong. And, like, his, fighting abilities, his skills are much better than the Hulk's because the Hulk, hasn't honed his fighting ability. He just smashes things.
right. I mean, there are some images like that I can remember. Like now I'm looking at some. He just like lays there after getting his face punched. Like I just think about
Mhm.
it. I'm like, man, how did Thanos just beat him without any pain? It's crazy.
I just hope that Kang, seems just as menacing coming up, which honestly, the whole Jonathan Majors thing going on, I don't even know what they're gonna do with Kang,
Yeah, I don't
but
know either. I feel bad because man, his acting was really good.
I mean, right now the actor seems more menacing than the character.
Right. I mean, like his first appearance, I'm like, okay, I'm like real sketchy about this guy. I don't know what's going on. And like at first I kind of liked him. Like I was like, okay, he seems like a real genuine dude, you know. Kang seems like he's trying to do some good. And then you watch Ant-Man 3 and you're like, well, that ended. That's over. All right. There's a thing beyond like what Thanos was trying to do, right? He was sort of like some people could actually side with Thanos. Like even in real life, like people could really think Thanos was right. Like whoever crazy person out there, but they can really think Thanos was right.
You know, the people who name their baby after Thanos, you
Yeah.
know, wherever you are, you know.
Right, right. I'm just saying like he had some kind of thought in his brain that, you know, could be justified in some human's mind. But with Kang, it's like, I want to conquer everything and be the most powerful and everywhere and everything. So that's one thing different is that like you can't reason with this man because the only thing he wants is power.
Like the Joker almost.
Yeah. And it's another thing, it's like you see other villains like that. Like what was it? We just watched Guardians 3. The High Evolutionary, there's no reasoning with that man. Because he thinks you're inferior. So everything you say means nothing because he thinks he's superior than you are. He has some kind of like Hitler ideology or something.
He thinks everything is imperfect. You know?
And he needs to fix it. I mean, that's another thing is like he wanted things to evolve faster because, you know, they weren't on his level. But yet he did that with Rocket and seems like Rocket's way smarter than he is. And and it seemed like he kind of got messed up in the head after making something that's smarter than he is.
Yeah, it made him angry, you know.
But like for some reason, that's his whole goal is to make something better than everything. But yet he gets angry when he does. He's like, I created you, so how are you smarter than I am?
Well, I think just because he didn't expect, you know, Rocket being what he was, you know, put together the way he was to be that intelligent. Because it didn't seem like he really put a whole lot of effort into making Rocket and his friends. And so when Rocket ended up being smarter than him, you know, made him feel weak, I guess.
Dumber than a raccoon, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's some really cool things with like the Guardians 3 that show like Rocket was different than just a normal raccoon. Like there was some kind of abnormality in his brain. Like, and like for one purpose, like for one reason I say that is because Rocket specifically wasn't the one of the rockets that weren't running away when the evolutionary was going to grab him. He actually stood his ground. Like I feel like that was like the first thing that like showed that he, you know, he was different than the rest of them. There's just something different with Rocket, and that's how he's smarter. It had nothing to do with it. I guess it just didn't have a whole lot to do with him being a raccoon in general. It just had to do with something that was supposed to happen. I don't know. It just seems like he's different than he just somehow picked the right raccoon, I guess. Because like probably any other raccoon would have been dumber.
And it's, you know, that's fine. We don't really need an explanation for that.
Right. Man, I don't know what to do now that the Guardians are over too. Like there's no like that's it. Guardians are done.
I mean, they're still Guardians of the Galaxy. It's just different team.
Yeah, but like you know how like it says the Guardians of the Galaxy will return. That didn't happen.
It said Star-Lord will return. Don't know what that's going to be about, but
well,
I'm happy.
Yeah, I've been needing to see some more Star-Lord. Like, I don't know. I just feel like Star-Lord needs more. And I'm glad to get some more Star-Lord.
I feel like, you know, he's gone through pretty much his whole character development, but, you know, that doesn't mean we can't have him in more movies and, you know, and bringing comedy to, you know, dark places.
I don't know, like, so Chris Pratt never said that he was wanting to be done. You know what I mean?
He just said if they continued the story of Star-Lord, he wanted it to be in the way James Gunn would have wanted.
Yeah.
They didn't want to, change up his story just to keep it going.
Exactly.
If you're to come back, I mean, obviously nobody knows what the future is yet. I don't know if you do, but what do you think about coming back and doing this? Like, but you're surrounded by different people. Is that like a daunting thing? Is that a fun idea? Is it?
Oh yeah, that's so daunting. Yeah, that's the reason to not do it. I think, like, it would have it would be. It's so elegant and perfect right now with the 3 films. It's incredible, and so to think of moving forward, it's really hard. And without James, I don't know how that would work. And I'm open to it, and but man, it would. I don't know.
I want the Guardians to continue myself. Like, not that doesn't necessarily mean with Chris or with anybody, but I would like to see the Guardians continue in another iteration.
So I actually did something very recently, which was really cool. Was I watched the first Guardians movie, then I watched Guardians 2, then I watched Infinity War, then I watched Endgame, then I watched I watched Guardians 1, then I watched I Am Groot, then I watched Guardians 2, then I watched Infinity War, then Endgame, and then Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, and then 3. And from that view, it made them look like the main characters. Like, not even joking. Like, I watched it and I'm like, who cares about this Iron Man guy? Who cares about this this Captain America guy?
Like, who are you, bro?
Yeah, like, who are you? These guys are cool. These other guys I know. I mean, like, because they actually showed up a lot. If you remember, like, it was like they had a lot of screen time. Like, they were part of the beginning of the movie. Like, they were the beginning of Infinity War. After the whole fight with Thanos and stuff, and they got down to Earth, they went straight to the Guardians.
Right.
I don't know if James Gunn helped direct that movie or anything like that, but
I don't think he did, because he said that he didn't know that the Russo brothers were planning on killing off Gamora, because he was planning on having her as she was in Guardians 3, and because they killed her off, he had to kind of change the story a little bit.
But you must have had some idea of where this was going all along, and then Avengers movies come along and they kill one of your major characters, which prompts a storyline in this film. Was that something you knew at the beginning of 2014 and 2013? And when did you kind of realize, okay, well, here's a story I might have to adapt and pivot a bit?
So things always change, and you never know. But Gamora almost died in Volume 2. I knew from the beginning Zoe only wanted to play the character for so many years. And so a lot of the things that I was planning on dealing with, I dealt with through what the Russos did, in which they called me up and said, we're thinking about this. Does this work? Can you work with this? And I went, God, yeah, I really can. And I think it works really well for the third movie.
Yeah, I think so too.
There was just something about, they seemed like normal. There was nothing that was changed about their characters in Infinity War and Endgame, except Gamora dying. They acted like themselves, which I was totally happy with. So the director did all right, I guess. James Gunn's a really good director when it comes to the Guardians and stuff. So, I mean, that was pretty cool.
He's good at anything that, is superhero related.
Yeah, I think that he does a really good job with the mixture of comedy and the sad stuff. But yeah, so I think that was a good close up for, the Guardians. I think they did pretty good.
That was one of my favorite endings to any MCU movie. Honestly.
Oh, yeah, actually.
I was tearing up and smiling at the same time.
I don't think I've actually felt that good with a Marvel movie since, I dare to say Endgame, but, it feels like it. I mean, I watched Shang-Chi, I watched, the Eternals, and Shang-Chi was all right. I mean, like, it was, okay, visually, the dragons and the stuff like that was cool. But, like, it didn't end like I expect things to end. And, like, let someone die at least. Jeez. You know what I mean?
I'm waiting for Shang-Chi to show up again. Like, where is he?
I don't know.